Devils gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah. Darkness world stops turning, ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs have the power, and as God has struck the hour, day of judgment God is calling. On the knees the war pigs crawling, begging mercies for the sins. Satan laughing spreads his wings. Oh Lord, yeah.
a company, always on the run, a destiny, oh, it's the rising sun. I was born, a shotgun in my hands, behind the gun, I'll make my final stand. Yeah, and that's why they call me bad company. I can't deny. Bad company till the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Rebel souls, deserters we've been called. Chose a gun and threw away the sun. Now these towns, well, they all know our name. The death punch sound is our claim to fame. And that's why they call me bad company. I can't deny. Bad company till the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, blood for blood. We've all gotta die. We've all gotta die. And that's why they call me bad company. I won't deny. Bad company till the day I die. Bad company. I won't deny. Bad company till the day I die. Until 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 the day I die.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions. We cannot share information from floor to floor in this building because it's stored on dozens of different technological systems that are inaccessible or incompatible.
As the Talmud says,
I don't give a shit what he says.
Today the Jews rule this world by proxy. They get others to fight and die for them. They invented socialism, communism, human rights and democracy so that persecuting them would appear to be wrong.
Then Jesus went into the temple of God and drove out all those who bought and sold in the temple, and overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves.
It is written, "My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves."
You be alright, nigga. You tough, right?
This nigga gay as hell.
Alright, I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
And here we go.
So you like that, huh?
You're a real imaginative nigga.
Perfect.
I say to you, your technocracy is dead on arrival.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Let's fucking go.
It's showtime. Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust. Gary!
All warfare is based on deception. For years, the West's hypocrisy has made the world a battlefield. The corrupt talk, while our brothers and sons spill their own blood. But deceit cuts both ways.
Russian authorities claim the attack was orchestrated by an American CIA operative named Joseph Allen.
The bigger the lie, the more likely people will believe it. And when a nation cries for vengeance, the lie spreads like a wildfire.
I'm looking at fighter jets over I-95.
The fire builds, devouring everything in its path.
This is a deliberate act of war against the United States.
Our enemies believe that they alone dictate the course of history. That all it takes is the will of a single man.
Get a load of this.
The new jackpot ticket from the PA lottery.
With top prizes of $1 million.
Democracy? Democracy. Democracy isn't what these people need. Hell, it's not even what they want. America's been running around the globe trying to install democracies in nation after nation for a century, and it hasn't worked one time. Now, why do you think that is? Because these countries don't have the most basic building blocks necessary to support a democracy. Little things like we ought to be tolerant of those who disagree with us, or we ought to be tolerant of those who worship a different god than us, or that a journalist ought to be able to disagree with a fucking president. And you think you can walk into this country based on fundamentalist religious principles, drop a couple of bombs, topple a dictator, and start a democracy? Give me a break. People don't want freedom. They want rules, boundaries, protections from invaders and from themselves. People need a leader who can both provide the constraints and the support to keep chaos at bay. And you give them that, and they'll follow. And that's where I come in.
What's up, people? Apocalypsis Live. It's been a while. It's been a while. So I'm glad to see you guys here on this live. I forgot to turn my mask off. I'm already fucking up. I'm a little slow now. It's been a while since I've done a live stream for a long time. But we're back now. I'm back now. There's actually a thing that's going on now with Apocalypse Live. Nothing bad or anything of that sort. Uh, Strider and I are we're very busy nowadays. Well, him a little bit more than me. I'm pretty busy myself, but he's a little bit more busy than me with home life and whatnot. So we're gonna take some time um to at first we weren't going to do the show for a while, but then I figured, I'm still clear to live stream and such, so I said I was gonna take the opportunity to do some solo streams and maybe solo videos. Maybe you guys will see videos instead of live streams for right now. But right now he's taking a little bit of a hiatus. We're looking towards maybe starting back up together, maybe in July. I don't remember exactly what he said, but sooner or later we're gonna be back together on this stream. Sounds really gay when I just said that right there, but he's gonna appear back, and we'll both be working together again. But for right now, it's just gonna be me and my mask, hiding my identity because we got to out here, and I'm gonna be giving you guys live streams, videos, and some other stuff that might come to my mind. Uh, so yeah, pretty much. I mean, this is not really any. I mean, the title says we're gonna be talking about war and the economy of war, but usually how this stream goes, it's pretty laid back. We kind of just talk about really whatever we want. But I kind of had like a thing about. I kind of had war on my mind. And I guess for the times that we're in now, because of all the things of war that are happening right now, all the things that are transpiring, like for instance, the war between India and Pakistan. I mean, things have been going on with Israel and Palestine for a long time as well too. I mean, things just seem to keep escalating more and more and more. Even though it seems to be at first, it seems to be a ceasefire. It seems like things are starting to soften down, but it ends up blazing in the flames again, which is not a surprise, and it's deliberate because, like the title talks displays, it's the economy of war. Everything that's currently going on within this world is deliberate. It's deliberate, and it's set in stone for things to come and for things to happen, so that the elite, the cabal, the Jews, whatnot, can achieve their one world government, can achieve their lordship over the rest of the world. A lot has been going on, and that everything has to do with just that. The economy of war is a lot of things. A lot of things. If you meet it on like a basic level for like the common person that doesn't have any deeper knowledge about what these wars are truly about, people see it as just war between two sides for material things, material reasons, whether that be land, whether that be oil, which in some cases that is the reason, but there's always something more to it, which we'll get into. There's oil, like natural minerals and whatnot, and just to display power and to relieve others governments of power, um, so that we can put people in that position that will meet our interests within those lands. And this is not a modern phenomenon. This has been going on for a very long time. Since the days of Noah, it's been going on. And these bloodlines, these people descending all the way back till then, it's not really a surprise that you see the same matters being taken in order to take over the whole world and take over people's minds and spirit, consume their spirit, because that's something that's also part of this economy. So on a basic level, we see that this is fed. So I'll get into the propaganda part. This propaganda is built on us versus them, right versus left, Republican versus Democrat, United States versus Russia, Israel, Palestine, Pakistan, India. That's the premise that they want to get you. And that's the only reason that's pushed out, for the sheer fact so that you can be blind to the true purpose. Because at the end of the day, if you have these people warring against each other, they're not going to notice that they're being fucked in the ass by their elites of their country. If you have these people thinking that the other team is the problem, they're the ones that are they're the reason why I'm suffering. They're the reason why, let's say, the economy is screwed because of these things that they are acting against us. Whether there's always a split between race, religion, usually it's religion, politics, and whatnot. That's the propaganda. That's the image that they put in front of you. That's like in the I forget what the name of it is. It's like the people that are in the cave and are shown things on a wall. They're like chained down and they're shown things on a wall. Like it's like basically the elites behind them are doing hand puppets, so that people fixate on the hand puppets in front of them and don't think to try to get out and leave and see the horizon. That's what that is. That's the surface level propaganda. That's the surface level war that is ingrained in people's minds. Everything split between those those generic things of race, color, creed, and whatnot. Sometimes even gender, which I mean, which the war on gender, that is a thing, that is such a thing, but it goes deeper than people just trying to purposely manipulate the idea of gender. It goes way deeper than that. But that stuff specifically is surface level. Then you start getting to resources and material. That's usually the next phase. Like when you start recognizing the order of of what's really going on. Because at the end of the day, these people still need power. They still need to have control over land and material and whatnot. So there is still a stake in the game when it comes to uh, conquering other lands and taking their resources, because you can't do anything without resources. That's been war 101. Usually when you win a war, when you're going to fight a war or win a war, you're bringing back resources with you. You're building more of your empire. Even though there's some people that will like to think and say that they're above that when they go to war, it's not the case. Every war fought and every side fought within those wars were fighting for control as well too, which most people are usually fighting for control. I guess you can have the debate. It's like, oh, people are freedom fighting because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, maybe so. Maybe it starts off that way, but it ends up with them having just to have a little bit more, which I guess can be a little bit more justified than the conqueror, than the aggressor's side. Uh, so a lot of these wars, when you go above just the propaganda level of just us versus them due to certain factors, you have the wars of like the rich, the elite. I mean, that's where you start getting into them more, where they're looking for material, they're looking for land, they're looking to topple down people that don't follow within their interest, or people that wouldn't give them a certain thing, so they go and take it, or put the public against them first and then go and take it. I mean, for the instance with like Saddam Hussein, that case was where they had a man who was in power, who had governance over his people, and did them well within their economy, did them well, and kept the society good and kept the people happy. Well, number one, you can't really have that in a in the type of world that they want to be in. You can't really have that. And he didn't follow the means that they laid out for him. He didn't follow it. So what do you do when a man doesn't follow a line that can't be bought, that can't be bargained with? You have to turn the people on your end against them, because most common people don't want war. They don't. They don't see a reason to go in others people's lands and automatically take up guns and kill and take go and take anything kill and take anything they want. Most reasonable people don't see a reason for that. Because most of the time there is no reason. For them there is a reason. It's always for the elites it's always a reason. It's a psychopathic reason, but it's a reason nonetheless. But from our normal minds, from our compassionate minds, from our empathetic minds, we see that something like that just isn't isn't the way. It isn't the way, and it's not right. It's not morally good in any way. The only time that you should go into another people's land, if you, well, most of the time, I'm usually completely against going into other people's lands, even if things are going bad over there. Because I feel like I lean a little bit more towards isolationism, just a bit, because of all the conflicts. I live in the United States, so all the conflicts that we've gotten into, most of the time had none of our concern, none of our concern whatsoever. And we go over to a foreign land, where the people are just genuinely trying to live, even though we'll be told otherwise, that are generally just trying to live every day like we are, going over there and killing them and toppling their governments, and then these people don't have anyone to govern them, and it's just total anarchy. You have uprisings, you have other rebel forces that aren't necessarily good people trying to take over these areas, or you have enclaves of people, like split groups fighting against each other, and all it is and all you get out of that is starvation, murder, people not being able to have running water and anything. It ends up being a total waste, just to go over there and just you're being told you're going over there to topple a government, an evil government, but then you topple that evil government, quote unquote, and the country's in shambles after the fact, completely in shambles, and stays like that for years and years to come, and never goes back to something better. That's that's probably the best thing for them. But I mean, for the moment, and at the end of the day, I mean that's what happened with Saddam Hussein in his country. A lot of the things that happened after his death only just completely demoralized the people, put them more in a bigger hole, and that's what you saw: starvation, you saw mass murdering, and you saw enclaves of people just fighting amongst each other. And that's also another thing because like most common people don't know what to do when there isn't a guiding force for them. Which me and Strider would say that generally people do need a strong leader, an extremely strong and wise leader to look over the people, to govern them. Because I come from an opinion that most people aren't that smart. And I'm not even saying I'm necessarily that smart. You know, I'm not saying I should be the one to govern over everybody, that I'm the wisest of them all. You know, I'm still learning every single day. But I will say that most people aren't intelligent enough to really run their lives in a good, reasonable, and fashionable way. In a way that's going to uplift them more. That most people have to be guided to that point and given regulation and rules and whatnot. And I know what people are thinking. This is sounding more like a dictatorship and more of like a fascist ideals. And to be honest, yes, it is. I have no issues with saying that because I truly believe, Strider does as well, that that's what we need more of, more security and more governance over society. As we see displayed, like you actually saw in the one clip where the guy's talking about democracy, even though it probably wasn't necessarily about saying what I'm about to say right now, which it did a bit. Democracy is trash. It's a completely destructive government, governmental. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the word. Basically, it's a political ideal that just doesn't work. Democracy doesn't work, and we can see that just even within our own country, the United States. And the reason I say it doesn't work is for the sheer fact is democracy allows everyone to get a say in what's going on. And I don't think everybody should get a say in what's going on. They shouldn't. Why should everyone get a say? You wouldn't ask, let's say if you had someone that was a mechanic, you wouldn't ask people that weren't mechanics to come look at your car and like your mechanic will say something, be like, "Oh, there's something wrong with your engine," and you're like, "Oh, really? Okay, that you might be right, but I want to get I want to get everybody else's opinion, those who are even not mechanics, to look at it too and think it and say is like, do you think it's the engine? Ask them if it's the engine. Most of those people don't know. They're not gonna know. They're not gonna know. None of them know. If they're not mechanics, they don't know what's wrong with the engine. So why would you bring them in as well too to the conversation of what's wrong with my car? Who's gonna know better than the mechanic that trained in this in his art? Who's gonna know better? He's the only one that knows better. And I would ask the mechanic, and if anyone else had an opinion about it, someone who wasn't a mechanic came up and just started talking, I would kindly tell him to shut the fuck up. Because what do you know? You don't know anything. You're not a mechanic. So we go back to politics. Why would you want everybody to be able to vote or have a say? Most people don't know politics. Not even in the basic forms. And I'm not saying I know everything either. Like I said earlier. But most people don't even know the fundamental ideas of politics. They know nothing about economics. They know nothing about social issues. They know nothing about any of that stuff. They couldn't tell you the different government bodies or like the different political factions there are or anything. couldn't tell you that stuff because no one knows. No one, and we have people out here that are voting in these elections for politicians not knowing anything, which is why politicians can take advantage of the mind of these people. Because what most politicians do, as we see in every debate or every speech they have, they appeal to the emotions of others. That's like 98 to 99% of everything they talk about within their speeches or in their debates. They talk about stuff that's going to appeal to the emotions of the people living within their country. That's how you get them on your side. That's how you get in power. And that's how most people function. Most people don't function off the idea of logic and reasoning and knowledge of the subject matter. They vote, they listen with emotion. And you have to appeal to their emotion to bring them to your side. And which even the most intelligent person that does know politics, that does know about the subject matter, you also have to appeal to his emotions a bit too, because there is a passion for the stuff that this person is into and knows. There is a passion to this stuff, so you got to appeal to it in a way. But that's the driving. That's how you get people on your side. That's how you drive people to you, and that's what keeps people on that basic propaganda level that I was talking about. That's another drive to get people to fight against one another. You appeal to their emotions and say, these are the reason why you feel the way you feel. These people are the reason why you feel the way you feel. Now you gotta go do something about it. Now we gotta go do something about it. Usually it's not the common people that have to do anything about it, even though the government wouldn't have any problem shifting all of us overseas or to a foreign land to kill other kill other common people. They're going to push that. They're always going to push that button on you that causes you to act emotional against the other common people. When in reality, the reasons why things are the way they are, which things seem so screwed, is because of the ones that you speak to that tell you that they're the issue. In which they are. They conduct everything. They control all the news outlets and the propaganda that's displayed to you. They control the banks. They control any entertainment that you watch. They control it all. All the wealth, all the natural resources, and trying to gain more and more each day. And that's only because they were given permission by something higher than themselves. Which brings me into the real core, final center of this war economy. And that is, and this goes on a huge spiritual level, is blood. Blood is the true economy, not only just of the war, but of the world. Which is why violence is always pushed and is necessary to keep the economy going. On the micro level and the macro level. You need people to be so emotional to commit violence against one each other on a micro and macro level. But the more core aspect of this blood economy is the blood of people being used and sacrificed. And me and Strider have talked about these blood sacrifices in a past live stream talking about the Khazarian Empire. If you don't know what Khazarian Empire is. The Khazarian Empire is a group of people that ruled over Khazaria, that lived in Khazaria, that were known to be extremely warlike, extremely bloodthirsty, and pretty much psychopathic. On the routes through their country, of people going through their country to go to another country, they would snatch people up and steal their stuff and kill them and murder them and drink their blood. And this has been reported of through all countries surrounding Khazaria. People all around were talking about it. And these same Khazarians that did that then are doing that now. They're the ones that built the foundation of the elites, the foundation of the economy. Who the elites that we know of now, from the politicians to the bankers to the big businessmen, they're all part of that group. Maybe not necessarily directly part of the Khazarian group itself or the bloodline itself, but they co-work with that group. And then there's some that are actually from that bloodline. This ancient blood economy goes all the way back, all the way to the days of Noah. Now that's something I could talk about in another live stream, but it does. I mean, if you talk about the Nephilim and the Amalekites and how the Amalekites are descended of the Nephilim through Esau, it goes into it. And how, the Nephilim ate people, how the Amalekites, if you break that down, like what the term Amalekite means, or the name Amalekite means, it means drinkers of blood. It all goes back to that. And that's the economy that the world's built on. That's why you see never-ending war. That's why you always see conflict. That's why you always see people dying in mass. That's why you see children go missing en masse. Hundreds and thousands of children just disappearing out of the blue. And who knows where else in the third world, which they mainly do take from as well, how many disappeared there too? We don't have the numbers for that. I mean, we have the number, I feel like we have some numbers there, but definitely not all. It's way more than you think. But even outside of the numbers, the real subject matter here is they take children and use them for these sacrifices. Use them to feed their own desires, but feed something greater than themselves, which is the devil, which is the demiurge, which is Satan, which some people refer to as reptilians and stuff, because it's not necessarily just one being that is consuming all these things. It's a group of extraterrestrials are demonic forces that feed off of these wars that we have, off these children that are constantly being taken just off the streets, or sometimes out of people's homes, are even brought into child care services, taken from there and used within these rituals. To these darker forces in an unknown dimension, above a higher dimension. Well, I guess I can't necessarily say higher dimension, because these beings aren't of the higher dimensions. They are lower dimensional beings, which is the sheer fact of the reason why they need to consume the blood of people to appease them. But a lot of these conflicts, whether you think of World War II, Vietnam War, Israel Palestine, Korean War, every war that you can possibly think of, even from those times of Noah, all that has to feed back to feed this hive mind. Feed this feed these psychopathic, non-feeling reptilian things. Maybe not even necessarily reptilian, but these beasts, these parasites. That's what I like to refer to them as because that's exactly how they act, to be honest. That's exactly how they act. And then you have these regular humans, which those who are elites aren't necessarily all human, but there are some that are that partake in this due to it the ritual that they have to go through in order to kind of be like initiated to this group. You have to give up your humanity in order to be a part of this because it's not human. The foundations of this ritual, of this system that they built on isn't human. And it's not humane to want to take people, people of your own people and eat them and consume their blood. It's not human. Beasts eat people. And that's what all this is built on. All of it. Forget the basic level of things, us versus them, like Islam versus Judaism, or Islam versus Christianity, or Republican versus Democrat, and name this political side versus this political side. Like it goes above that. They give you things so that you get distracted to what's really going on. It's not as simple as people like to make it out to be, which is why I get so irritated with people that straight only talk about politics and then put this framework of us versus them. Which there is an us versus them, but not in the way that you think. It's not in the way where it's like, because I'm usually on Twitter all the time, where I see like blacks versus whites, or Hispanics versus whites, or would name that non-white race versus whites, or people trying to destroy the white race. Which, look, I kind of, in a sense, agree a bit that that's going on. I don't really want to get into it, but I do kind of agree that is happening. But it's not happening for the reason they think. I'll just say that. But they so desperately focus on the idea of the us versus them mentality with like black people or no other non-whites. When in reality they're getting screwed by something that is way bigger than the whole racial concept that they were given. Because at the end of the day, the race idea that they have is just a concept given to given uh, given to us. Well, at first it was technically made so to subjugate African people, because with that racial ideal, you can easily go deeper with it and make blacks out to be lower than every other race. I mean, that was the original reason why the concept of race was made. Before that, like, I mean, people obviously recognize people having white skin and black skin and stuff like that, but they didn't have the characterization that we have it now, where black people were just one force, or white people were just one force. Hell, even people in Europe don't even really have that concept now. It's like foreign to them. It's more American than anything. Even though I'm not saying that there's aren't people in those countries in Europe, countries in Europe, for instance, that don't think of the black and white and Arab mentality or whatnot. But most of them don't. They identify with their ethnic background, which honestly makes a little bit more sense to me. And if you're someone that is follows the Bible, would make more sense to you too, since everything in the Bible is met at like an ethnic level. There wasn't necessarily a race that was just one race, like meaning black, like people that were who were referred to as Ethiopians at the time weren't just being part of the black race. Like it wasn't like that. It was always split, and there was always different groups. And what you can acknowledge, and that's in an ethnic way, that's reasonable to acknowledge that. But these people heavily focus on race, and I can kind of see why, because to a point with these things that are going on against white people, I can see why they would hop to that, because it seems like everyone's against you, and it seems like you're just kind of just being beaten down to the point to where you feel like you're just gonna go extinct. Which, in a matter that's like, I guess, yeah, I can kind of see that. But you have to understand it goes deeper. It's not the regular people that are the driving force. It's not. But that's like one component where I've personally have dwelled on a lot, because I'm on Twitter a lot, and me following certain things on Twitter, I see posts like this a lot. It doesn't make me mad or anything like that, but it certain things don't make sense to me, and some things do. But they're a key representation. They're like a main representation of of what I'm talking about. Of this us versus them split between commoners, when it's not the commoners. The commoners are definitely there's commoners that are definitely brainwashed, and they can be dangerous due to the brainwashing. But you have to cut off the head. Why am I worried about the body? I need to go after the head. You need to cut off the head of the snake if you want it to die. It might wiggle around a little bit, but sooner or later it's gonna die. And that's what we have to put into our minds now, with when it comes to that basic level of propaganda, war propaganda, and the us versus them mentality. That's part of the war economy. There's a lot that goes with it. A lot that goes with it. But the main thing that you definitely have to get out of this is that it's deeper than everything that I just said, and it all goes back to the key component of feeding the hive mind. Which is why, even now, what we see with AI and this talk of Neuralink and wanting to be connected more with AI and the supercomputer that they want to make, and the AI hive mind that's going to come with it. This is another way to drain you of your energy, to feed off you. They're going to farm you. They found the perfect way, a perfect program to get people into the system, tagging them up, put a price tag on them. Not literally, but put a price tag on them and have them for sale. Have control of their bodily autonomy. Have control of them completely. You can do whatever you want with them. And people, like, for instance, like with the Matrix, all those people were hooked up to the hive mind. All those people were hooked up to the pods. The robots were using the people for energy as a battery, because the sun was blocked out, and they would have died nonetheless if they didn't do that. They would have died. But in this real world, in reality, the reason we're being hooked onto this is for control and to be farmed. Control over your body autonomy and your consciousness and to be able to have more security over people and have control of their thoughts, and to also feed off them when they see fit. That's the idea. That's the complete idea of what's going on now. And people are openly accepting that. Now, I do strongly think that AI is a grave threat to this world. Strongly. Even though I have used AI. I mean, hell, the back of this, the background behind my screen was helped with AI, only because I'm not really much of a good graphic designer or whatever you would call this. I'm not really good at that, but you know, I did a little something. I don't really mess with AI like that because I don't necessarily trust it. But I made a little something out of it. But AI is for sure one of the greatest threats to us, and it's not because AI itself is just gonna become conscious and take control over everybody. It's not that AI is gonna betray all of humanity. It's because AI was created to control humanity and to bring in something that we've never seen before. We've heard of but never seen. To bring in these entities that wish to feed off the human race more. Now I'm not going to say I know the exact reason why that these entities want us tied to this AI, which would tie us to them. But I can make some guesses, and these are just guesses, just by seeing how things are going and how things are ran, and by looking into stuff myself. It's to feed. It's to feed. It's to gain the power that we have within ourselves, gain that and take it for themselves. Because when we look at a spiritual level, we humans have the greatest potential, one of the greatest potentials to be of such higher consciousness, to connect with the divine, to connect with the almighty source, and return back. And on top of that, gain such spiritual power over our reality and have access to the higher dimension. These beings don't have the potential for that anymore. If they did have it, they don't have it anymore, and there's some that just never did. So that's what they're trying to get. And however they're doing it with this machinery, I don't know, but that's what they're doing. That's why humans are so important. Sure, we're in a vast universe where there's the potential of millions and millions of beings in this world, but they focus on us so much because of that potential. That is the same reason why those who preached true spirituality and true connection to the divine are put to death, or were mainly killed by the elites, by the people that run the system, because they don't want you to know that how important you are and how much power that you have within yourself, because they acknowledge that you do. They acknowledge it. You don't acknowledge it. You give your power to the same being that they worship without even knowing it. Without even knowing it. You worship a God who isn't, if unnecessarily, the creator. He is a God, per se, but he isn't the creator. You give your power to that. Which is also another reason why they can easily manipulate you. Because you have given into such a materialized religion such a materialistic religion, giving you a personal God. A personal God. Giving you laws and commandments that you have to follow, that if you really put your mind together and think about it, doesn't even make sense. And why would an almighty being want these specific commandments and ideals to be part of the human way? Why would he care? We have to care about our reality. We have to establish our reality because we have the power to establish our reality, to really make things how we want them to be. We do. It doesn't sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but we honestly do, and it only doesn't seem like it because we don't have come together in this collective mind to battle our oppressors, or battle the people that feed us this propaganda and feed us this mentality, this loser mentality of being lesser than what we truly are. That's the reason why we stay in our position. But we control this reality, and we are the gods of this reality. Now, people are going to trip because I said we're the gods of this reality, but you have to understand how I differentiate the creator God and being gods. There's many mythologies where there are gods, and then there's the one true source. So understand that that's kind of what I mean. And it is possible for humans to get to that point. But people try to personalize the creator so much that that's how they end up in organized religion and getting manipulated by organized religion, because organized religion gives you that relation with God in which you can connect to the creator. But don't think that the creator is so focused on you and has a personal relation with you. There is no personal relationship. Everyone has the connection to the creator because of you being personified out from the creator when everything was manifested into existence. But don't think that you're receiving blessings and that, when you pray to the creator, he's going to bless you. He's like looking to you specifically and he's going to bless you. Like, no, that doesn't happen. The reason why good things happen to you, the reason why you get things that are helpful for you or things that aren't helpful for you so you can learn and such like that, these things happen because of you and the energy that you put out and the laws that have been established into the universe to work that way. Laws like as above, so below. Laws of attraction, laws of correspondence. Think all the hermetic laws. Stuff like that that's been established because that's what's been manifested out of the creator. The reason why things happen in a way and why there's times where you think you're being blessed or cursed and stuff is because that's what you're giving out into the universe, and the universe is only giving it back to you. So almost in a way, God is blessing you and cursing you. It's just not as personal as you think. It's an established law, world universally, cosmic. Goes even throughout all the other universes and beyond. That's what you have to understand. And that's why you have to get out of the mind, the Abrahamic mindset. Because the Abrahamic mindset will have you thinking that way. It will have you thinking that way. And that's how they keep you trapped. And you're trapped every day due to whether that be religion or politics and such. Because you're personalizing everything. You're being selfish, you're focusing strictly on yourself and not respecting the thing that you should truly be respecting while you're here on this planet is the earth. You think the earth wants to meet all this destruction on it. In some regards, there is a destructive wave that needs to happen on Earth to replenish, to destroy certain things so that other things can grow. But that is a natural thing that happens. But all the full on destruction that's going on now, which I guess people can say is supposed to happen because the world is such in darkness now, which I do agree. But that's because we're such on an extreme level now with what's going on here on the planet, with the control that's being taken, with the control that's being applied over everybody, with the wars that is happening, with all the murder and bloodshed that's completely going on now. Things need to transpire now to renew everything. Especially now because we're shifting into a new age. We're shifting within this new age, and we're becoming anew. We're being purified. That's if you're connected. So on a mass scale, like, it's good because it does sound like I'm being a bit dualistic when I'm talking a little bit. Because even the stuff that is dark now meets within the gray area as well, meaning that there's a purpose to all that even itself. Now, it's not good. I don't think people like feel all great to think about how the elites taking children and doing all these things, and then also them causing all these wars and stuff like that. How is that even a good thing? But you have to think of it like this. Now I'll go and call back to Star Wars. Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker, seen as the chosen one by everybody, especially the Jedi, even the Sith, specifically Darth Sidious, because he was the only Sith at that time, and Plagueis until he killed him. Sorry if I spoiled that for you if you don't know shit about Star Wars, but he's seen as the chosen one. It was told that he would bring balance to the Force. Balance to the Force. Now, to the Jedi, that meant that he was going to destroy the Sith and destroy the dark side, and it would be a never-ending peace. No more conflict. More of it was like they'll destroy the other faction, and there will be peace. And then you had the Sith, which I don't necessarily think that they had like an idea about like this bring balance to the Force concept. More of like Sidious saw an opportunity to get something that was strong to be on his side, so that the Sith can finally take over because the Jedi's reign has taken too long. Was too strong and has lasted a long period of time, and he wanted vengeance. Which sounds like a Sith way to think of things: vengeance, revenge. Soaking and wanting to soak yourself in the blood of the Jedi because of how they destroyed your leadership and basically your religion. But what they all failed to see is that Anakin was to destroy both of them. And how did that happen? You had Anakin, that was tempted by Sidious, go and destroy the Jedi. He destroyed the Jedi because he thought, because he needed to dwell with more into the dark side in order to be able to be so powerful that he can learn the techniques that Palpatine was going to teach him, which he ended up lying, which he was lying about, to keep his wife from dying. But outside of that, just little perspective, the bigger perspective is, if you really look how the Jedi were running, the Jedi lost their way. The Jedi became so political and so out of touch with the Force and only cared about politics and only cared about upholding their power within the Republic and upholding the power of the Republic, that they lost connection, that they lost the true way of the Force. So because of that, which led them to be corrupted. And because of that, they had to go. They had to be dwindled in numbers. They had to be completely destroyed because they have become a shell of their former selves. And that's what Anakin was used and that's what Anakin was used for. Anakin destroyed the Jedi. He destroyed the temple, he killed many Jedi, had them slain, whether by his hand or the clone troopers, and rebuilt an empire, which the Sith ruled. But then you fast forward, because I know you're saying it's like, well, now the Sith have all the power. Now darkness is all over the galaxy. Well, you got to see the bigger picture. Sometimes one side gets to prosper, and then the other side has to go down, and the other side gets to prosper, and then things kind of go back to a balance. I mean, because technically it's only fair that the Sith rule. The Jedi ruled for so long. Probably still a bit longer than Sith, even with the Empire being established, but they still ruled for a long time. It was the Sith's turn. But then after it was the Sith's turn, when we start going to Anakin being Darth Vader, and him being with his son and the Emperor in the throne room, where him and his son begin the fight. But then Luke cuts off Vader's hand and was in the moment to where he could kill Vader and refused to. Palpatine got mad. And told Luke then he will die then if he will not join him, and striked him with lightning. And as Vader walked to his master's side and watched as his son was being electrocuted and started pleading to him to help him and save him, within that moment, a piece of Anakin returned back into Darth Vader, and he grabbed Palpatine and threw him down and threw him down into the engine of the. Well, I don't want to say engine. I don't know what to call it. Also, I'm going to say engine. The engine of the ship, and he blew up, and he killed the darkness that was over the world. Because you remember there was only two of them that were Sith. He killed the darkness, and he brought balance back. He killed both corrupt sides and brought the balance back where there wasn't one or another side trying to withhold power. And this balance also involved him having to die too, because you have to remember, in that moment, Vader died. And Vader was the last Sith as well too. He was a Sith, and he was dwelled in the dark side. And the moment when he threw Palpatine off, and the moment he decided to even grab Palpatine and throw him off of the little bridge, or the deck, Vader died. And along with Palpatine, the Sith was no more. And balance was brought once again. Now, and then you can even see this concept go on to the future movies, which I don't even like to talk about, so I'm not even going to talk about them because the future movies are trash. The sequels are complete garbage. But Luke even talks about the concept of the Jedi dying and whatnot too, and like the Jedi and these orders can't be no more. And everything starts to becoming gray, back to the balance, because that's what the gray is the symbol of. You have the black and the white, but then you have the gray area, the middle area, where the Force wants it to be a balance, how everything should be. Because at the end of the day, you have to remember, you can't destroy darkness, just as the darkness can't destroy light. They both must coincide, yin and yang. That's how I was taught. I trained in martial arts. That's how I was taught. There has to be a yin and yang, whether it be of the world or even within yourself. There has to be the balance. One can't destroy the other, and one can't be destroyed, and the other can't be destroyed. The dark, within its nature, is supposed to expand and continuously try to feed and conquer everything within its path. Make everything into part of its hive mind. And I don't like to say it as in like I think the darkness is evil, because technically darkness isn't evil. Darkness is not evil. Those who dwell within the darkness can use the darkness for evil gains. And because of the nature of darkness, that's what leads people to become more evil and hungry. But the darkness itself is just that, it's darkness. And it's in its nature to want to keep ever expanding and to always consume. Where with the light is not there to destroy the darkness, but to tame it, to keep it at bay, to keep the borders high so that the darkness can't overly expand. That's the point. That's the point of this seems like a never-ending battle. But you have to understand, even in the ancient cultures, that's how it's always been. You always see stories of like every 1,000 years you have name this embodiment of the light and name this embodiment of the dark fighting each other, like whether that be within 1,000 years or 10,000 years or whatnot. But they always have to have this battle to see who wins. And it's in the same concept that darkness consistently wants to win and lord over the light. And the darkness can get to a point where it expands itself so much that it seems like there is no light, but there's always the light. Always. You can never get rid of it. Even in the darkness room, there is always a speck of light that you can find. And this is vice versa. And that's kind of how I see our reality, where as we see the darkness always expanding and consistently expanding itself and trying to lord over the others, it's our job as people connected to the divine will, as people wanting to achieve enlightenment or have achieved enlightenment and one in the greater higher consciousness, and just strictly have an empathy for people, we have to keep it at bay. And keeping the darkness from spreading itself is by slaying those who use it for evil. Because that's the way that darkness spreads itself. It corrupts those who lust to lord and control. It matches up with their energy completely. But that's one thing I do wish people understood more and took into consideration more and to really think about. Especially now with things arising with AI and people being used as cattle, that people take what I say and really uplift themselves spiritually and physically and mentally and come together and fight against this. Because we have to. This idea of being saved, this idea of waiting for something to come swooping down to save us all and take us away from this nightmare, is not going to happen. Daddy's not here to save you. Mommy's not here to save you. There's no one here to save you but yourself. And you save yourself by achieving knowledge, by achieving spiritual enlightenment, by achieving your highest peak of physicality, and getting together with like minds and fighting against this stuff that's to come. That's the goal. But I think I shall leave you guys on that note. It's not going to be really a long stream. I kind of just wanted to talk about it because it's been on my mind a little bit to talk about this. And I was actually going to make this into a video, but I kind of decided not to and just said I'll just stream it and just say whatever. You know, I figure I just live stream, and there's probably going to be more to come. I think the more I start seeing more news things coming forward, like more news outlets coming forward, more news that I think is necessary to talk about, I will. Or if I'm just watching stuff that piques my interest, I'll come back and talk to you guys more about about those subjects. But I really do hope that you guys understand what I'm coming from when I talk about this stuff, and understand that we definitely need to come together, and we definitely need to keep rising ourselves and within our spirituality, and continue forward with our connection with the divine, and keep learning, keep educating yourself. And I hope that I was able to. I mean, I'm not saying that I let out like a whole lot of information about the blood economy and stuff like that. But like I said, this is more of a casual show, and I like to discuss things. I like to discuss things off my mind. I like to have a genuine conversation when I speak about things. So I hope you. That was a little loud. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and you will catch me. I'll probably tweet out when you guys will catch me. I'm not gonna make a definitive day that I'll be streaming again, but I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Apocalypse Live, and I'm gonna sign you out. But first, we're gonna play my hit.